So here we go. Just going to make sure our guitars are in tune together. We have an E, A, D, G, B, and an E. Close enough for music. So the chord shapes that we have to move are going to be our E major. So when we take off our first finger and we play the same shape and move it up, we'll get the F major that we know. The idea is I basically stop playing my E majors like this unless I'm going to play with these seventh notes or unless I'm going to be playing something that's moving. I use this as my E major because generally I'm going to be moving up to another chord or moving out to another chord. Either way, it's easier to go from the E secondary position to many of these. As I said, the C shape, I don't generally do the C shape in a secondary position down here, but I do use it an awful lot when I bar. So it's good to know. The D major as well. When you play the D major like this, you can scoot that whole structure up and play that one note you were missing. Which means if you play this, and then we scoot it up, it has some dissonance. But if you play the second D and scoot it up and bar it, it fits within that chord structure because you've now made that G that was awkward a G sharp, which makes a little bit more sense in that key signature. So, having said that, all these shapes are going to be shapes that move up when we see somewhere else on the fretboard. Depending on what you play on the right hand, you don't really even have to bar some of them. This is a D, but it's played with a C shape. I could have barred it and played this, but I like the sound of this. Totally open and fluid. Anyhow, so what we do is we go through these notes and you see after a period of time of doing our do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, that our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then our resolution move through the same tones no matter where we are on the fretboard. The strings themselves, when I play a C here or I play a C here, they vibrate at the same tone, but the oscillations of those are off just very small. We don't notice that because it's too close. But playing different chords, you can play an A major here, or you can play an A major here. Same notes, it just brings that higher up, or lower down, depending on where you are. What happens when you're able to actually invert the notes on these scales, you start getting stuff like an A major, using its major third as the bass, which gives you some sort of structure like that. What happens in all these chords is chords are 2 or 3 different chords at the same time. We'll get into that later, but the easiest way to explain that is the same way that I explained an E minor today. You have an E minor in this shape that you can play in a couple different ways depending on what your fancy is. When you play a D major and move to a D minor by keeping my D here and then moving my keeping my A as well and moving my F sharp to an F, we can't go back like that. So we move our first finger and place it. I play my D minor, removing this finger and placing it down to the F to give me octaves, so I can thusly put my pinky where this one was. I don't need that on there at all, but when I do, I can move that shape up and it covers other things. So D minor becomes D sharp minor, E minor, F sharp minor, F sharp, G minor, so on and so forth. What I was explaining with 1, 4, and 5 being majors, 2, 3, and 6 being minors, and then 7 being the diminished, quite literally, you only have to remember 3 shapes. Then they move. That's when you're moving it up the fretboard. The easiest way that I can explain that is this. If we were to take our D minor and make it an E minor, we've got our lowest tone possible. Our E minor, when we play in B7 with an F underneath it, that becomes our diminished. So our diminished, our F sharp diminished, is this tone. So when we move this F sharp diminished from a minor, diminished, major, we quite literally are going from step 6 to step 7 to our step 1. Thusly, everything is in a major and a minor at the same time. Our C major, when I'm playing C major, I can play my relative minor, A minor. When I'm playing G major, I can play my relative minor, E minor. D major, relative minor is B minor, so on and so forth. All of them have these, and all that really means is when I'm playing in the key of C, hey there, how you doing? Give me 2 seconds, I'm wrapping up a video, is that okay? Shoot. when I'm moving through these structures, I'm able to move up and progress through these depending on where my finger exercises are, and then I'm able to take these and move them from the first 4 frets to the 5th. When I do these spider exercises and I get a little bit more movement around these fretboard, it makes more sense that when I do my 9, 10, 11, 12, that these pentatonics that I use are going to be incorporating those 4 frets each time. My minor pentatonics use my 8 to 5, my 12 to 9. When we go through our major pentatonics, they also use that, but in a backward fashion. We'll get into our pentatonics later with our way to use our 5-note structures. But for today, this lesson, keep with the C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Switch our 3rd finger to our 2nd finger and have a C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And then our 2nd finger switches to our 1st finger, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. With this 3rd one, you can do it with either one. 1st, 3rd, 5th, 1st finger, 3rd finger, 4th finger, 1st finger, 3rd finger, 4th finger, 2nd finger, and 3rd finger. That gives us our same major key. The point that I wanted to make with Blackbird, when you're doing these after the G major, A minor, and B minor, when you get up here to having your G and your B, it does a double thumb. G, G, and then does a back and forth. You'll notice how that just changes it. That same rhythm when you're doing, I move the keys up this way. C, C sharp, D, sharp, up to E minor, and then I pull back, then I work all these back, right? Same chord I used there, back to my same C, and it's complete. Right there is where I use that same fingering that we use for that high G, and all the way down where you're doing the double on the thumb, that's how all those do on the walk down. I'll do another video if you need more explanation on that, but try that key concept on the right hand to see if that falls into place. Other than that, you're doing a wonderful job, and I'll see you next week. Aloha.